Today you're working on an answer find and shade worksheet that's covering two-step fill in the blanks. And this is a level 2 worksheet. So I assume you have some experience with algebra and solving two-step equations. But what I like to do on this worksheet is use our critical thinking or our mathematical reasoning or our math brain to solve these problems. And to help us do this, I want to create an input-output chart. So grab a piece of paper and follow me down here to the bottom of the page. And on your piece of paper, I want you to create a chart that looks like this. I want you to have a column for rule, a column for input, and a column for output. And you see how we separated them into separate columns with the lines? And I want you to create this on your piece of paper. Now yours has to be a lot bigger because you're going to use it to solve all the problems. So if you need to, press pause, get a piece of paper, and create this input-output chart. And once you're done, press play, and we'll start on the problems. All right, welcome back. You have your input-output chart, which looks something like this over here. And let's take a look at the directions. It says, fill in the boxes to make each statement true. The two boxes for each problem are the same answer. And as you can see, they've already done problem number 1 for us to show us how to solve these problems. And as you can see, each box has the same answer. They both have 32. And the reason why they picked 32 was because 32 minus 4 on this side is 28, and 60 minus 32 is 28. Which means they are the same. And it says fill in the boxes to make each statement true, or to make the equation equal. And as you can see, 28 equals 28. And once we've done that, we're going to come down here to our other box, and we're going to look for the number 32. 32, 32, where are you? Oh, there it is, right there next to H. And then we're going to come up to our picture, which I apologize I've covered up because I had to put my input-output chart somewhere, and we're going to color in or shade in the letter H. And that's what we need to do. Before we begin, some of you might be thinking, wait a second, doing an input-output chart is silly and it takes too much time. Well, yes and no, but if you do know how to solve this using your algebra knowledge or your two-step equation knowledge, you don't have to listen to me. You can work on the worksheet on your own. But I'm here to help the people that are struggling or need help. Okay, so let's get started. Problem 2, you have an empty box minus 85 and 97 minus an empty box. And I can tell you right away that the answer cannot be bigger than 97. And you might be thinking,
how do you know this?
Well, if I put 97 right here, 97 minus 97 is going to give us 0. And there's no way of putting 97 over here and getting 0. Plus, if the number is any bigger, we're going to start getting negative numbers. And if the number gets bigger over here, we're not going to get a negative number. So I can tell you right away that the answer cannot be bigger than 97. I can also tell you that the answer has to be bigger than 85. And again, you might be saying,
how do you know that?
Well, if it's smaller than 85, like 84 or 83, this is going to give us a negative number again, like a -1 or a -2. And if you put a number smaller than 85 over here, you will get a positive number. So we know that the answer has to be bigger than 85, but smaller than 97. So it's between 85 and 97. And the best way to find a number in the middle is to find the average. And to do the average, all you do is add 85 plus 97. 5 plus 7 is 12, carry the 1. 1 plus 8 plus 9 is 182. Then I just divide that by 2 or cut it in half, and you would get 91. So the number exactly in the middle between 85 and 97 is 91. Now this isn't always the answer, but it's a great place to start. So let's put it in our input-output chart. Our rule is an empty box minus 85 and 97 minus an empty box. Do you see how I took the operations right here and put them in for the rule. Then for the input, I'm going to put what I think the empty box is going to be, which is 91 and 91. And then I'm going to solve. 91 minus 85 will give me 6, and 97 minus 91 will give me 6. And as you can see, the outputs are the same, and the inputs are the same. That tells us that 91 is the correct answer. So I'm going to put 91 right here, and 91 right here. And again, just to make sure you see what I did, 91 minus 85 is 6, and 97 minus 91 is 6. And they're both the same, or the statement is equal. So now, I need to find 91 down in my box below. Remember, we're not finding 6, we are finding 91. So I'm going to come down here in our box, and I'm going to look for 91. And there's 91 right there next to V. So V is the letter that you're going to look to shade in. And remember, usually there's more than one of them, so make sure you shade in all the V's. And again, I apologize that my input-output chart is blocking the picture, but I'm not shading, you are. So that was problem number 2. Again, if this seems really easy to you and you're thinking you're wasting your time, you don't have to listen to me. I'm just here to help the people that need help. All right, so let's take a look at problem number 3. And we're using our math brains, and I can tell you that this number right here has to be smaller than 12. And again, you might be thinking,
How do you know that?
well, I know that because 2 times 12 is 24. And over here we have 24 minus something. So the biggest this could be is 24. So the answer has to be smaller than 12. I can also tell you that the answer has to be an even number. And again, you might be thinking,
How do you know that?
well, 2 times anything will give us an even number. And if you don't know what I mean, think about it. 2 times 2 is 4, correct? And 2 times 3 is 6. Even though 2 is an even, 3 is an odd, we still get an even number. But if I put an odd number over here like 3, 24 minus 3 gives us 21, which is an odd number. So we cannot pick any odd numbers, or one side will be odd and the other side will be even, which again makes this not equal, or they are not the same. So the answer has to be an even number. So if we take those two things, first off, we know it has to be smaller than 12, and it has to be even. So let's do 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Those are our only choices. And right off the bat, you could say, well, there's no way it could be 0 because 2 times 0 is 0, and 24 minus 0 is still 24. So you're thinking it has to be a higher number. Well, let's pick something in the middle, like 6. So if I take my rule, 24 minus and times 2, and I put 6 in the input, 24 minus 6 is 18, and 6 times 2 is 12. We're close, but not close enough. And you're already probably thinking right now that this number is too small. And you know that because 24 minus 6 gives us 18, which is too big. This is bigger than 12. So that tells us this number is too small, because if we make it bigger, then this will become smaller. So my guess is this has to be 8. And if we put 24 minus and times 2, 24 minus 8 is 16, and 2 times 8 is 16. As you can see, the outputs are the same and the inputs are the same, which means this has to be 8 and 8. And again, if you look at it, 24 minus 8 gives us 16, and 8 times 2 gives us 16. They are the same, they are equal, so our statement is correct. So now we come down here to our box, and we're looking for the number 8. And 8, where is 8? I don't see 8. Do you see 8? Oh, there's 8 for CC. So we come back up here to our picture, and you will shade in all the CCs. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to press pause, and I want you to try problems 4, 5, and 6 on your own. So 4, 5, and 6 on your own. When you finish those, come back to me and we'll go over the answers. See you in a bit. Okay, welcome back. We're looking at problem number 4. Problem 4 says 75 minus an empty box equals an empty box plus 49. And again, I'm using my math brain and I'm looking at this problem and I'm thinking, hey, wait a second. There's something here telling us that this plus this cannot be higher than 75. And again, you might be thinking, how do I know this? Well, because this is 75 minus a number. So if we get anything higher than 75, this will not be true. So we know if we add 49 to the number in this box, it cannot be bigger than 75. So all I'm going to do is say 75 minus 49. I'm going to borrow from the 7, makes a 6. 15 minus 9 is 6. So we get 26. So the biggest number that can go in that box is 26. Right here, 26. So we know the answer is going to be between 0 and 26. And again, I'll just find the average or the number in the middle to get us started. And 26 plus 0 is 26, divided by 2 gives me 13. So right now I'm just going to pick 13 to go on our input-output chart. And again, this isn't always the right answer. It's just a point to get us started. So I'm going to put the rules in. 75 minus plus 49. We're going to do 13 for our input. 75 minus 13 gives me 62. And 13 plus 49 will give me 62. So I have the same output. I have the same input. So that tells us that 13 must go here. And just to make sure we see what we're doing, 75 minus 13 gives us 62. And 13 plus 49 gives us 62. And just in case you don't see it, I will add it right here for you. 9 plus 3 is 2. Carry the 1. 1 plus 4 plus 2 is 6. 62. So again, I'm going to come down to our box and I'm going to be looking for 13. Again, remember, we're not looking for 62. We're looking for 13. So I come down here and find 13. 13 is letter E. So we come back up here and shade in all the E's. Problem number 5. Problem 5 says 32 plus an empty box and 86 minus another empty box. Now this problem is just like this one. So it has to be less than 86 if we add these two together. And to figure that out, we just do 86 minus 32. 6 minus 2 is 4. 8 minus 3 is 5. So this number cannot be bigger than 54. So we know our answer is going to be between 0 and 54. And you might be saying, wait a second, we know the answer is not 0. Yes, but I'm just trying to get an estimate or kind of a guess to put in our input-output. So I'm just saying it's between 0 and 54. We find the number in the middle, so we say 0 plus 54 is 54. We divide by 2, and we get 27. My guess right now is the answer is going to be 27. I put 32 plus for a rule and 86 minus for a rule. Input is 27. 32 plus 27 gives us 59. And 86 minus 27 gives us 59. So we got an output of 59 and an input of 27. They're all the same. So our answer in this little box is 27. And you're going to come down here and find 27. And 27 is going to be letter JJ. So we got letter JJ. And we come back up here and find JJ in our picture. And we shade them in. Problem number 6. You have an empty box times 4 and an empty box plus 30. So we're timesing by 4. And again, 4 is an even number, so no matter what we times it by, it's going to give us an even number. So if I say 3 times 4, it's going to give us 12. But if I put an odd number over here, we will get an odd answer. So we know the answer has to be even. So there's one thing we know. And again, I am just using my math brain to figure out some choices here to help us solve this problem. We also know the answer has to be bigger than 7. And you might be saying, how do I know that? Well, 7 times 4 is only 28, and we already start off right here at 30. So we know the answer has to be bigger than 7. So we know it's even, and it has to be bigger than 7, so our choices are 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and you might be thinking, wait a second, this is crazy. It could go on forever and ever and ever. But think about this for a second. As these numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger, you're multiplying by 4. So this number over here is going to get really big, while this one doesn't get that big. Like for instance, if I put 20 here, 20 times 4 is 80, but 20 plus 30 is only 50. So you know it cannot be bigger than 20. Or in other words, it cannot be too big of a number because the left side will get bigger faster. So let's pick something small. Let's just start with 8. So we're going to put 8 in our input. We have times 4 plus 30. Well, 8 times 4 is 32, and 30 plus 8 is 38. So it tells us this number is too small because this is too small. We need to make it bigger. So let's just try 10. Times 4 plus 30. 4 times 10 is 40, and 30 plus 10 is 40. So we get the same answer on both sides, and our input-output are the same, so this must be 10. So we come down to our box, and we look for 10. 10, where is 10? 10, 10, 10, 10. Oh, 10 is R. So you're going to come up there and shade in the R's. All right, I'd like you to do problems 7, 8, and 9. When you finish them, come back to me, and we will go over the answers. See you in a bit. Welcome back. We're looking at problems 7, 8, and 9. And problem 7 says 15 plus an empty box and 77 minus an empty box. And right now, your brain might be saying, wait a second, this looks like a problem up here. And it is. It's just like problem number 4. So we know the answer with these two right here added together cannot be bigger than 77, because the biggest this can be is 77, unless we start tossing in negative numbers, which will definitely not work. So we need to find an answer that's smaller than 77, and we can just do 77 minus 15. 77 minus 15, 7 minus 5 is 2, and 7 minus 1 is 6. So the biggest this could be is 62. So we know our answer is smaller than 62. Let's just pick 0. And again, I know 0 cannot be the answer, but I'm just picking 0 to help us out. So we take 62, divide it by 2, we get 31. So my guess is that the answer is going to be 31. So I put that in my input. I have my rule, 15 plus, 77 minus. 15 plus 31 will give me 46, and 77 minus 31 will give me 46. We have the same output, we have the same input, so this answer must be 31. We come down here to our box, and we're looking for 31. 31 is B, and we're going to shade in all the B's. So let's take a look at problem number 8. You have an empty box divided by 2 and some number minus 14. And again, we're trying to make them equal or the same. And if we look at this, we're dividing by 2, so we know the answer has to be even. Because if we put an odd number in here, like say 7 divided by 2, we will get 3.5, which means we get a decimal or a fraction, and there's no way of putting a whole number in here and getting a decimal or a fraction. So we know the answer has to be even. If we really get our math brain thinking, we should be able to figure out this answer. And I'll give you a hint. If I put 10 here and divide by 2, I will get 5. So basically, when you divide by 2, you're cutting a number in half, correct? Well, 5 plus 5 equals 10. Or 10 minus 5 equals 5. So if you start looking at this example and you come over here, we have minus 14. So basically, I just told you when we divide by 2, we're cutting a number in half, which means we have to double this number or times this number by 2, which my guess would be 14 plus 14 gives us 28. And if we put 28 into our input, and we put our rules in, divided by 2 minus 14. 28 divided by 2 is 14, and 28 minus 14 is 14. Now, if you got a little confused, you said, what was he doing there? You can always go back and listen to me again, or you can press pause and think about it. So if I'm going too fast, remember, you're watching a video. You can always stop and think about it for a second, or rewind. Again, what I did was, how I figured this out is I was dividing by 2. So I knew this number has to be twice as big to get the answer. So like I said, let's just say 12 this time. If I said 12 divided by 2, I get 6. Well, we know 6 plus 6 is 12, and 12 minus 6 is 6. So whatever these numbers are here gives us the answer. Well, I had a minus 14 here. So if I use that example, I would have to do 14 plus 14, which gives me the 28. And that's how I figured out it would have to be 28 here. If you can't figure that out, you can always just start putting even numbers into your input and try to figure it out that way. So then we come back down here and we're looking for 28, 28, 28, 28. Where is A? Oh, there it is. It's M. So we'll look for M in our picture and shade in all the M's. Let me clear that out while we look at problem number 9. 9 says an empty box minus 10 equals something divided by 3. Well, my math brain's thinking, and I know the answer has to be a multiple of 3, like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. And I know that because if I put anything else in here, let's say 10, 10 divided by 3 will give me another decimal. It doesn't go in perfectly. So it has to be a multiple of 3. We also know the answer has to be bigger than 10 because 10 minus 10 gives us 0, and 10 divided by 3 will give us a decimal. So we know that won't work, but we also know it has to be bigger than 10. So we know 3, 6, and 9 will not work. So I say let's start with 12. And if we put 12 here and 12 here, we put our rule minus 10, we put divided by 3. Well, 12 minus 10 is 2, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. Wow, really close, but we know the answer is too small because 12 minus 10 only gives us 2, which is too small of a number, so we know it must be bigger, but just by a little, so I would guess it would be 15. So I'm going to put 15 in my input. I'm going to minus 10. I'm going to divide by 3. 10 minus 15 is 5, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. So our output is the same, our input is the same, so we know that the answer has to be 15, and we find 15 in our box. 15 is where? Is Y. Y is going to be 15. We find 15 up in the picture, and we shade it in. All right. I'd like you to press pause and try 10, 11, 12, and 13 on your own. When you're finished, come back to me and we will go over the answers. I will see you in a bit. Welcome back. We're looking at problems 10, 11, 12, and 13. Problem 10 is actually almost like problem 9. We're dividing by 3, and we're minusing 24. So we know it has to be a multiple of 3, like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. We also know the answer has to be bigger than 24. So actually all of these will not work. So let's start at 24. And you might be thinking, how do you know it has to be bigger than 24? Because if we put in anything smaller, let's say 18, 18 minus 24 gives us a negative number. So we know it has to be bigger than 24. So we're looking at multiples of 3 that are bigger than 24. So we have 24, we have 27, we will have 30, 33, 36, 39, and 42. I'll stop right there. We also know the answer can't be too small because 24 minus 24 is 0. 27 minus 24 is only 3, so it can't be any of those really low ones. So let's start at 33 and see what we get. Let's put 33 in for our input. Let's divide by 3. Let's minus 24. 33 divided by 3 gives us 11, and 33 minus 24 gives us 9, which tells us that we're very, very close, but we're too small because 33 minus 24 only gave us 9, and we need to make this number bigger. So my guess is just to go one number up, which would be 36, because it has to be a multiple of 3. Divide by 3 minus 24. 36 divided by 3 is 12, and 36 minus 24 is 12. We got the same output, the same input, so we know this must be 36. Again, we find 36 down in our box. 36 is AA. So we've shaded in all the AAs in our picture. Let's take a look at problem number 11. Let me scoot that over a little. Problem 11 says a number times 2, which means we're going to double a number and a number plus 3. Since we're doubling this number right here, if I just pick anything, let's say 7. 7 times 2 is 14. Or 7 plus 7 is 14. They're exactly the same. And if we look over here, we're adding a 3. 3 plus 3 equals 6. And 2 times 3 equals 6. All we're doing is doubling the number. So we're just doubling a 3, which means we have to put a 3 there. So this is 3 and 3. I know, we'd even use our input-output chart for this one. Woo-wee, that was easy. And 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 plus 3 is 6. So we find 3 in our chart. 3, 3, 3. Oh, there's 3, and he is J. So we shade in all the J's. Problem number 12 says a box, an empty box, plus 17 equals 57 minus an empty box. And again, you know, if you add these two together, it cannot be bigger than 57 because we cannot get anything bigger than 57. So we say 57 minus 17, and that will give us 40. So we know the biggest is 40. Let's start off with 0. We're trying to find a number in the middle. We do 40 divided by 2, which gives us 20. I put 20 into my input. We are adding 17. We are saying 57 minus. So 20 plus 17 is 37, and 57 minus 20 is 37. So we know that 20 goes into our box. And we come down here and we look for 20. 20, 20, 20 is EE. Again, that's not ET, it's EE. So we find EE up in the picture and we shade in all the EEs. Problem 13 says an empty box times 2 and 36 minus an empty box. Again, we're multiplying by 2. We are doubling the answer. And we know that this has to be even because if I put an odd number in here, 2 times 7 will give me 14. But if I put 7 here, we will get an odd answer. So we have to make sure that the answer in the box is even. We also know the answer can't be bigger than 36 because if we put 36 here, we will get 0, and there's no way of getting 0 there. So we know our answer is even and less than 36. So we're looking at numbers like 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. And you might be thinking, holy smokes, this is going to take forever. Well, again, I would just try to find a number in the middle of 36 and 0. So I'd say 36 divided by 2 gives me 18. And I would try 18 as my input. And this, again, is just a starting point. So I say 2 times for my rule, and 36 minus. 2 times 18 is 36, and 36 minus 18 is 18. And we should have known that, because if we put 18 in here, we knew the answer cannot be bigger than 36. So really, it's not bigger than 36. The answer cannot be bigger than 18. So that really helps us out a lot. So we know this has to be less than 18, and it's between 0 and 18 now. So a number in the middle of 0 and 18 would be 9, but 9 will not work, so let's try 10. If I put 10 in my input, and I times by 2, and I say 36 minus, 2 times 10 is 20, and 36 minus 10 is 26. Wow, we are pretty close, but we know that this number is too small because this number is too big. So we know the number has to be bigger, but not by much because we're really, really close. So I say let's try 12. We put 2 times 12, 36 minus, 2 times 12 is 24, and 36 minus 12 is 24. So we know 12 goes in our box, and we find 12 down here in our other box, our big box, and it's K. So we shade in all the K's. All right. Again, if this is too easy for you and I'm going too slow, you can always work on the math worksheet on your own. If I'm going too fast, you can always rewind and listen to me again. You can go and listen to me again. You go and listen to me again. Or if I'm going at perfect speed, that is awesome. So what I want you to do now is problems 14, 15, 16, and 17, and then we're finished. All right, so press pause. When you're finished, come back to me, and we will check your answers. Hello, welcome back. We're working on problems 14, 15, 16, and 17, and we're all finished. Problem 14. We already know right off the bat that if we add these two together, it cannot be bigger than 87 because we have 87 minus a number. So the biggest it can be is 87. So I just take 87 minus 5 and I get 82. I want to take the average or find the number in the middle, and I'm just going to divide by 2, and 82 divided by 2 gives me 41. So my first guess would be 41. 41, I put plus 5, and 87 minus. And 41 plus 5 gives me 46, and 87 minus 41 gives me 46. Outputs are the same, inputs are the same, and that is the correct answer because the statement is true or both sides are equal. So this must be 41, and this must be 41 because 41 plus 5 is 46, and 87 minus 41 is 46. They are equal or the same. And we're looking for 41 in our chart. 41 is HH. So we will shade in HH. Problem number 15. Problem 15. We have 30 minus an empty box and 5 times an empty box. And I can already tell you right off the bat that this box right here has to be less than 6. And you might be saying, how did I know that? Well, 5 times 6 is 30, and the biggest we can get over here is 30 because we're doing 30 minus an empty box. So our choices are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Cannot be 6 because if we put 6 in, we will get 30, and if we put 6 over here, we will not get 30. And we also know it can't be 0. My guess is it has to be one of the higher numbers because 5 times 1 will only give us 5, and 30 minus 1 gives us 29. So we got to get at least a number a little bigger. So I would just pick the biggest number, which is 5. Put 5 in your input. I have 30 minus and times 5. And 30 minus 5 is 25, and 5 times 5 is 25. Our outputs are the same, and our inputs are the same. It tells us it is the correct answer. So we put 5 right here, and 5 right here, because 5 times 5 is 25, and 30 minus 5 is 25. They are equal, or they are the same. So we come down to our big box, and we look for 5, and there is 5. It is T. It's Mr. T.
I pity the fool.
Mr. T. So we come up and find T in our picture, and we shade in all the T's. Problem 16 says an empty box times 3 and an empty box plus 4. Well, let's see about this. I really don't see anything much can help us here. It has to be an even number. No, it does not. It could be even or odd. It has to be... Oh, but we know it cannot be too big of a number because if we put 10 here, 10 times 3 gives us 30, but 10 plus 4 only gives us 14. So we know it has to be a pretty small number actually. So that's probably the only help that I can think of right off the bat to help us out. Well, let's start with 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's just get started there. We know it can't be 0 because 0 times 3 is 0, and 0 plus 4 is 4. That's still actually really close. So let's just try 1 really quick. If we put 1 right here and 1 right here, and we're going to times by 3, and we're going to plus 4, 3 times 1 is 3, and 1 plus 4 is 5. We didn't get it, but we're really, really close. So my guess is the answer has to be 2. We're going to times 3, and we're going to add 4. 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 plus 2 is 6. Same output, same input, and we got the answer of 2. Because 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 plus 4 is 6. So we come into our box, and we're looking for 2, which is A. That's what I get on all my tests. Sure. No, I really do. Sure. Okay, sometimes I get B's and C's.
That's what I thought.
So we come up to the picture, we're looking for A's, and we shade them all in. Last problem. Woohoo! Then we're finished with this worksheet. Woohoo! Problem 17, we're dividing by 3. So right off the bat, we know it has to be a multiple of 3, like 3, 6, 9, 12. Because if we divide by anything else, we will get decimals or fractions, which we cannot get over here. We also know the answer has to be less than 32. Because if we put anything bigger than 32 over here, we will get a negative answer, and there's no way of getting a negative answer over there. So we know the number has to be smaller than 32, and it has to be a multiple of 3. You might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of numbers. But take a look at this for a second. If we put a small number like 3 in here, 3 divided by 3 is only 1. And 32 minus 3 gives us 29. We know the answer is probably not one of the smaller numbers. It's probably closer to 32. So if I work backwards and we're doing multiples of 3, we have 30, we have 27, we have 24, we have 21, and we have 18. Those are probably one of the answers. I would just start in the middle somewhere, like 24. So we put 24 as our input. We have divided by 3. We have 32 minus, And 24 divided by 3 is going to give us 8. And 32 minus 24 is going to give us 8. Woohoo! We got that one taken care of. So our answer in the box is going to be 24. Because 24 divided by 3 is 8. And 32 minus 24 is 8. They are equal or they are the same. Again, if you didn't catch that, you can always rewind it and listen to me. But if you did get it, we're just trying to find 24 in our box, and 24 is P. So our last answer is P. So you're going to shade in P. All right, so we're all finished. I hope I helped, and see you next time. Bye-bye.